are the champion, the one that holds the line and finishes the mission. Everything that you want is within your grasp. You wake up in the morning ready to dominate the day, and every step taken is with purpose and integrity. Because you were not put on this planet to live a mediocre existence. You are here to conquer and make the biggest impact possible, not only for yourself, but for your family and for your tribe. This world is a battlefield, and we will be victorious. This is the Norse Mentality.
What's up, guys? I hope that you are having a glorious day. If this is your first time listening to the Norse Mentality, my name is Andy Lewis. With me here is Cody Whitley, and this whole podcast is designed to help you stack victories every day, climb to the highest peaks of success, whatever that looks like for you, and reach your truest potential before your time here on Earth is done. On this episode, me and Cody are going to be talking about pushing the limits when it comes to physical and mental exertion. And this is inspired by a gnarly hike that we did this past Saturday. We live in North Carolina, for those of you that are unaware, and there is a beautiful area called Linville Gorge. It's this whole gorge. How many miles is it?
I think top to bottom, it's 12 to 14. Not like height-wise, but from Linville Falls down to Lake James, I think it's roughly like 14, 15 miles.
But it's an absolutely amazing area, especially when it comes to hiking and camping. It's very difficult to beat the views that you have there.
And it's the most rugged hiking you can do.
Yeah, it is. It will whoop your ass and you will feel your soul leave your body, as we have had multiple people say. Because usually when people come here to visit, say like athletes and people that are part of Norse, but they live in different parts of the country and whatnot, we always take them hiking, and a lot of times we will take them to Linville, and it always kind of humbles people.
To give people kind of an idea, if they're not from North Carolina, this is like a small, very small scale kind of Grand Canyon. You got two ridge lines with straight drops to the river, and then a river starts at the waterfall and runs straight into a lake. It's very small comparatively, but to kind of paint the picture in your mind, it's your ridge lines that are about 3,400 feet, and the river can be at about 18 to 2,000 feet.
And then getting up and down the gorge is pretty much only one way to go about it, and it's straight up and
vertical,
straight down.
Man.
Right. So we decided to do, a 10-mile? It end up being a 10-mile hike?
Yeah. It was 10 miles and about 7.9, 8 miles of that I had never touched before. So the familiarity was not there at all.
Yeah, which is that's the best part of it, is exploring new things. And when we say 10 miles can be very different depending on the terrain. And this one was more challenging than the hikes that we usually do, which was the whole point. Like, we went out there expecting it to be storming. We've never done this before. Like, we knew it was going to whoop our ass. So we went into it prepared for that, up for the challenge. And that was the whole reason we went out there. It wasn't for like a leisure day or anything like that. It's like, hey, no, like, we're going to go out here. We're going to get our ass whooped, and we're going to come out better as a result. But the reason I wanted to do this episode is to kind of dig into that mindset, because I don't think everyone has it, but they could. And I think that they should, if they really do want to see what they're made of, because when you go down that process, that journey of always kind of pushing the limits, what can I do? Can I do one more rep? Can I run one more mile? Can I beat this mile? Can I go 5 minutes in sparring instead of 3 minutes in sparring? Can I roll for 10 minutes straight without taking a break? There's always a way for us to kind of challenge ourselves more. And when we do that, we unlock something that we weren't aware of. And we raise the ceiling that we've placed upon ourselves. And that ceiling correlates to every aspect of life. When it comes to financial success, the amount of love and abundance that you can have in your life, when it comes to physical attributes and stuff like that. When you raise the bar in one aspect, you're raising the bar in all aspects. So if you're down here and I call it mental poverty, right? And when I say poverty, I'm not referring to wealth, but usually poverty transfers over to all aspects of life. Your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, your financial success, your relationship success, all of that kind of depends on which level you are in one aspect or another. someone that is physically fit, or at least is trying to become physically fit, will usually have more financial abundance than someone that doesn't. The person that is extremely overweight, they don't really have any concerns when it comes to their health, even though they should. You know, they sit around all day watching TV, playing video games, eating shit food, drinking, doing all this negative, destructive behaviors. They're usually not that financial abundant. You know, like it does carry over. Now you have someone that is really in good shape. They eat the right foods. They're serious about their physical health and whatnot. That carries over to everything. Like there has been almost no situations where I have found someone that is in good shape that isn't flourishing in other aspects of their life as well. So the whole reason that I'm saying this is because when we go out of our way to push ourselves beyond our current limits, that opens up doors of opportunity everywhere, because you may go into this hike and be like, I don't know if I can do this or not. First off, you should never talk to yourself that way. I can't do this. Like this hike, for example, Cody did more research on it than me. He's kind of done most of it except for like a small portion of it. And he's like, yeah, like this is going to be pretty challenging. I knew that was going to be challenging because of that, but never once did I go, this is going to be too much. I was like, okay, cool. This is going to test me. I'm ready for it. Let's fucking go. Like that's the kind of mental self-talk that I had the whole time was, let's fucking go. Like I'm ready. And then throughout the hike, as we got closer and closer to the end, that was amplified. My energy was not diminishing. My physical attributes were not diminishing either. Like the further that we got into this hike, the easier it got for me. And then it all caught up to me at the end. Whenever we got back to the car, of course, I was like, and we got in the car, we're driving, all of a sudden my legs were like, hey, you've been moving all day, you know, whatever. So of course, like there was like some fatigue there, but during the hike, the fatigue never happened. And that's because of my mental attitude going into it. This hike is going to be hard. Okay, good. I don't give a fuck. This mountain is mine. This is the kind of self-talk that we have to have when we are going to push ourselves in anything. Same thing when you go into the gym. It's not a matter of going to the gym and being like, I'm going to fight my fucking demons and call myself a bitch and all this stuff. It's like, I'm the fucking champion coming into the gym to fucking do what I do best, which is to conquer, right? Like when you start talking to yourself like that, and I know that might sound corny to some people. Trust me, I'm aware of that. But the fact of the matter is that it works. When you start talking to yourself in a positive way and in a strong way, like there is none of this self-defeating attitude. There is no obstacle that I cannot overcome. You start saying that kind of stuff to yourself. That's when on a hard hike, instead of the hike getting the best of you, instead it's giving you energy. Like it is filling you full of this energy to just keep fucking going. And then after the hike is done, like I said, this transfers over to all aspects of life. Then you get to work and it's like, okay, cool. I got my ass whooped by this hike, but I finished it, right? So your confidence is through the roof. I finished this hard hike. It's a reward. I suffered, I overcame, and I want to continue doing that. So you get to work and you just dive into work. You give it your best effort, and then you go home. And there's your partner. There's your kid. No problem. I can be a better dad. I can be a better partner. When you go into the gym the next time, after you've recovered a little bit, right? After you recovered a little bit and you go back into the gym, same thing. I overcame this fucking mountain and now I'm going to overcome this workout. I'm going to have the best workout I have ever had. And when you start talking to yourself like that as well, every time you go into the gym, this is going to be the best fucking workout I've ever had. I don't give a shit if you woke up depressed. I don't care if you had to drag yourself into the gym because it's been a tough day. When you start telling yourself this is going to be the best workout I've ever had, everything starts to change. When you wake up in the morning, and that's the kind of thoughts that are going through your head, and you can program yourself to think like this. I know this because I have done it. I used to be an extremely negative person, each day dreading existence, and I lived like that for 29 years. Until finally I was like, no, I'm done living like this. I'm done me being miserable. I'm done not having what I want out of life. Because the reason that I'm not obtaining it is because I don't actually think that I can. And all it boiled down to was the way that I talked to myself from the time I woke up until I went to bed. Even this past week with work, every day I've been running myself into the ground. But while I'm doing that, it is not a defeating self-talk. It's, I signed myself up for this. And then even it's going back and kind of like remembering the hike that we just did. I remember pushing myself on the hike. Like, of course, my legs got fatigued. But then I was like, no, I'm going to keep going. We're not at the top yet. I'm going to keep going. That same mental attitude applies to work as well. So that's what I'm getting at here. When we push ourselves physically and mentally, it carries over to all aspects of our life because we are proving to ourselves that we are capable. When you prove to yourself that you are capable through action and proof, then there is not a shadow of a doubt that your confidence will not increase as a result, and everything that you want in life will become yours over time.
This hike was intentionally planned to be one of those prove to yourself ass-beating hikes. Like I said previously, I've spent a lot of time in that area. I've put a lot of miles under my feet in Linville Gorge. There's a reason why they call them gorge miles. So part of the Linville Gorge is part of the Appalachian mountain chain, which ranges from anywhere from 450 to 500 million years old. It's one of the oldest mountain chains in the world. It runs from Georgia up into Canada, up the east coast of the United States. There's been caves found in this mountain range that predate life on Earth. There's no fossil records in these caves. The mountains that the Linville Gorge is a part of, they're super old, and you can tell when you hike. There's rocks, there's roots, and there's parts where you just have to scramble. So going into this, knowing it was going to be storming, still pushing through it, was one of the most rewarding things that I've done. This is probably for me the hardest hike I've ever had to do.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying the podcast and you want to represent Norse on a daily basis and let people know what you stand for, you can go to our website and check out the clothing collection. And if something catches your eye, use the code podcast15 to save 15% on your order.
The first time you get that, you realize how beneficial it is, right? At some point in our life, we had to push ourselves, either if it was on a hike or maybe it was a workout or something like that. Like you really push yourself, and you realize like this is so rewarding. I feel so much better now in every possible way. Even though I am physically exhausted, I feel better than I ever have. And once you experience that once, you continue wanting to seek it out. Now, it doesn't have to be all the time, and it shouldn't be. But we need to be able to put ourselves under these type of situations. And we need to go seek them out because we live in a world where we don't have to. We can simply exist now and nothing really happens. Now, a lot of shit happens on a mental, spiritual, physical level. But overall, like you can just sit on your couch doing absolutely nothing and life goes on. And that's never been the case before. So now because of modern comfort and luxuries, which we indulge in as well, we can go out of our way to seek out these opportunities. And it doesn't matter what it is because there's so many different options. It's just pushing the needle a little bit further than you did last time. Say if you're taking cold showers. The first time someone takes a cold shower, 30 seconds in and they're like, fuck this, I'm done, right? But then you can push for 45 seconds and then you get to a minute and then you get to 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. You start working out, you start doing cardio. Okay, I'm going to run for 10 minutes. Well, now I'm going to run for 15. Now I'm going to run for 20. And you continue to push yourself. You continue to do it faster. We don't have to overthink this, but this is part of being human, is pushing the boundaries. That is what our species has done since the very beginning. We explore new terrain. We overcome the most difficult challenges. We create new opportunities for ourselves out of thin air. This is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to explore, we're supposed to push the boundaries, and we're supposed to overcome no matter what. And the reason that people do not feel like they're living a fulfilling life is because they are not doing that. They are simply existing. We're not put here to simply exist. Now, I know there's spiritual texts and shit like that will argue with me saying, no, we just need to be, blah, blah. There's a balance there. There's a balance of taking action and there's a balance of being. You need to have time in your life where you are just simply existing. Meditation, going on walks, just sitting doing absolutely nothing. That's completely okay. But if you really want to live a fulfilling life, like when you are laying on your deathbed and you want to be replaying your life and think about all these amazing adventures you have and relationships that you've had and these opportunities that you said yes to that opened up all these other doors of opportunities, we have to be taking action and we have to be pursuing more. This is something I struggled with for a minute when I started like diving into Buddhism and stuff. I'm not a Buddhist, but there's a lot of aspects of Buddhism that I can relate to. And if I was to identify with any religion, which Buddhism is barely even considered a religion, it would be that, because it makes sense to me, right? But there's a whole aspect of desire. Desire is suffering. I'm like, well, how the fuck do you accomplish what you want to without desiring something more? Right? And this is something I had to like really think about for 6 months to a year. Like it was always in the back of my head. I'm like, how the fuck does this make sense? Because I want to make sure that I'm living this life, right? This life of that is apparently the right course of action to take. And it makes sense for me to do so. But at the same time, I need to be taking action. I need to be wanting more for myself, because if not, it completely goes against my morals and beliefs. Right? To always be pursuing more, never becoming content, always striving to make things happen for myself and for those around me. And what I got to was, you need to be grateful for what you have. You need to be grateful for what you have accomplished, who you are at this moment, but always strive to have a little bit more. Because why not? If we live in a world of abundance, which I believe that we do, if we live in a world of unlimited possibilities for ourselves, which I believe that we do, why would we not take our time here to pursue that to the best of our ability?
You will never know what you're truly capable of until you push that limit, until you really search for what the capacity is.
And we do that, and in my opinion, the easiest way to do that is through physical exertion. I've said this numerous times. Physical exertion leads to spiritual growth, and I 100% believe that. And like I said earlier in this episode, it will carry over to every aspect of your life, because at one point, you don't know what you're capable of, right? Like your self-confidence could be very low. And the best way to raise your confidence, and you can never have too much confidence, the best way to raise it is by proving it to yourself. What easier way is there than physical exertion? Because you can do it no matter what. And there's so many different ways that you can implement this into your life. But if you're feeling low about yourself, or you know that you're not living the life that you should through your actions, say like you still have all these self-destructive habits, you know that you should be doing this, but instead you're doing this. You keep falling back into the same trap. Well, the reason you keep falling back into that same trap is because you're still identifying with this old person. You haven't taken the action steps yet to prove to yourself that you are someone different now, someone better, someone that can overcome, someone that can get whatever the fuck they want out of life. And the way that you prove that to yourself is through taking action. You can go do sprints. You can go into the gym, hit a new PR. You can go on a gnarly hike like me and Cody did on Saturday. You can sign up for martial arts and start rolling and sparring. You can go mountain biking. Like, it's unlimited what you can do. but you need to start doing it. You need to start really pushing yourself. When you go into the gym is not a time to be on your phone. And this is a habit that I had to break as well. But it is a habit, meaning that it can be broken. When you go into the gym, if you're struggling with being on your phone, just start supersetting everything. For one, that's going to push you harder. You're going to have to exert yourself more, but you're also not going to have time in between sets. One workout or one exercise, next exercise. One exercise, next exercise. And then you end up feeling better at the end of that as well because you exerted yourself more. The reason outside of chemical releases and stuff like that, that we feel so much better after a good workout, after an awesome hike, is because we have proven to ourselves that we are capable of more. And that's the whole moral of this episode. We don't have to do this all the time. But I would say at least once a quarter, really see what you're made out of in whatever way works best for you. I have yet to see anything that will test you more than a hike. And the reason for that is because of the time investment that it takes.
Especially where we were. Like they call it Linville Gorge Wilderness for a reason. Like it is some rough shit. And there for the first basically 4 miles, like we were pretty much bushwhacking along this big rock ledge trying to get through. I've spent a lot of time in this place. And when I started and going to the gorge, I wasn't a very confident person. And then I would go and I think the first couple hikes I did in Linville were maybe a mile and a half. And then that's been a couple years ago. And then previously to this past Saturday, I think the most I'd hit might have been like 7.1 in the gorge. And then we just cranked it up to 10, which was a big push for me, but I intentionally made this trip for that. I knew that I needed to push myself. I knew that I needed to establish a new baseline and see what I was capable of. And this hike did it for me, man. As you and Joey both saw.
Yeah.
The most rewarding thing was my mind never faltered. My body, on the other hand, was shot. I sparred on Thursday, and then 38 hours later, we were hitting a ass beater of a hike. And then before the climb out, man, I dealt with wet feet. My feet were pretty messed up about 7.5 miles in. I could have used that opportunity to talk to myself negatively. I could have used that opportunity to, give up. But I never did. And that was a very relieving thing for me. I knew my body was messed up. The hike out that we did, we hiked pretty much 8.89 miles before starting this 1.2 mile climb, which was about 2,000 feet of elevation change. And before we even got to the steepest part of it, my legs were cramping and starting to lock up. But I will take my mind staying strong and my body faltering every time.
Right.
And that should be the goal here. Strengthen your mind to the point where you just go.
This is how you strengthen your mind, though, is by putting yourself under pressure, by putting yourself in stressful situations where you have no other option but to continue pushing through. And that's why I go back to hiking is, yes, you can go to a Muay Thai class. Yes, you can go to the gym. You're looking at an hour of exertion there. When you're on a hike, especially a long hike, you have no other option but to just keep fucking going. You could hike in for 8 hours. Well, guess what? You got to hike your ass right back. There is no giving up there. You can't. You have to find it within yourself to keep going. And that's what I love about finding new trails and stuff to explore, is because I don't know what to expect. It could be really hard. It could not be as hard as I thought. Either way, I'm going to find out. And there's something rewarding in that as well. Finding something new within yourself along the way. But hiking is the best way to do that, because there is no turning back. And instead of it being an hour, be 5 hours, 10 hours. I've done 18-hour hikes before. And your only option is to keep moving forward. And then whenever times get tough in my everyday life, that mental fortitude that you were referring to comes back in. That self-talk, keep moving forward. During my darkest times, that is what I repeated to myself over and over again. Keep moving forward, keep moving forward. Well, I originally started talking to myself like that on hikes. When I started doing longer hikes and I wanted to give up, but I had no other option. I had to keep going. Just keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. It carries over to everything. So the moral of this episode, guys, we need to be pushing ourselves physically because it's going to allow us to raise the ceiling that we place upon ourselves. We all have a ceiling of what we think that we're capable of. You're not even fucking close to it. I'm not, you're not, everyone listening to this. We have no idea what our potential is. But that's why we need to find out. We need to continue pushing ourselves. We need to continue exploring. We need to continue establishing a new baseline for ourselves. Always raising that baseline too. Okay, I'm here. Cool. What can I do next? And then you do that. Your confidence increases. And then you're walking around the streets with your fucking dick swinging because you know that you're the man, because you have put yourself underneath the test and you have proven to yourself that you can do it. This carries over to every aspect of life. But it starts with physical exertion. It starts with pushing your mind and your body past the point that you thought was capable. And then you come out of that a different person. When we talk about changing our identity and we talk about becoming a new person, we have to put in reps in order to do that. You have to prove to yourself that you can become someone different. If you're doing the exact same shit every day, day after day, the exact same routine, the same mediocre shit, how can you ever expect your life to look different? You have to become someone different. And the way that you do that is through taking action. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Norse Mentality. This podcast is a byproduct of Norse Fitness. We make clothing, fitness accessories, supplements, and other tools to help you reach your true potential. If you're interested in grabbing something for yourself, you can go to norsefitness.co and use the code podcast15 to save 15% on your next order.